I wasn't the guy from the circus. It's 1987, I'm 17 years old, and I'm driving down Interstate 80 from North Shore, Tahoe to Sacramento. And the car is overheating. The temperature gauge is redlining. There's smoke coming out of the hood. It's my first car. It's a Toyota Corolla, 1975. The color, primer gray. The seat covers, fake sheepskin. And the cassette deck, it only plays Rush, because that's all I put in it. Now, the car was overheating on the way up to Tahoe, but I was determined to get there. It wasn't overheating quite as bad. I got to get to Tahoe because I'm meeting a young lady up there, and her family was cool enough to say I could stay one night with them. I'm like, oh, I'm getting there. And Tahoe is uphill from Sacramento. I'll just put it in neutral and coast back home the next day, right? I'll deal with this overheating Toyota Corolla when I get back to Sacramento. And it didn't work out. I had to abandon the vehicle. I had to get off at Dry Creek Road. I pulled over onto a frontage road. I walked, and it felt like miles and miles and hours, and it wasn't actually that long. It felt that way. But ahead of me on this frontage road in the middle of nowhere, a beacon appeared out of nowhere in front of me. A beacon, I couldn't believe it. Now, I never heard of Beacon Gas. I've heard of Shell and Chevron, but not Beacon, but it existed, I guess. And the air conditioning is just amazing. And oh God, I have $1 in my pocket and I buy a Dr. Pepper for 50 cents and it's the most amazing soft drink I've ever had. And then with 20 cents, I call my dad on the payphone. And I say, Dad, the Toyota, Dry Creek Road, Beacon Gas, help. My dad says, okay, son. He pulls up about 45 minutes later in his lovingly restored 1966 Porsche 912, chocolate brown, kind of the opposite of my car. We arranged to get the car towed into Auburn, and we're driving home from Auburn. He says, you know, son, you're coming up on 18 years old. You're gonna have to pay for this repair yourself. It's your car. I'm like, well, I have 30 cents left over from the soda. And then he chuckled, ha, ha, ha. Well, let's see what they say. The next day, my dad says, well, son, the garage called. It's gonna be $1,100 to fix this car. Now, he may as well have said it would be $11 billion because both amounts were equally out of range. Again, I offer the 30 cents. He chuckles and he says, I'll tell you what. Remember when old man Robert died last year and he left you those stocks? I said, vaguely, I remember you saying that. Well, I've been holding these stocks for you. They're in my name, but I was going to give them to you. But I'll tell you what, the stocks are worth about $1,100. If you agree, I'll hang on to the stocks and I'll pay for your car to get out of the shop. I said, Dad, this is the best deal ever. Thank you. What a wonderful father I have. Oh my God. And we got the car out of the shop and I drove it for a few more months and then that shitty car finally died for good. And the relationship with the girl from Tahoe died a few months later too. She didn't die, she's fine. The relationship ended. So 10 years go by, I'm 27 years old, I'm close with my dad. One day my dad says to me, he says, remember those stocks from back when you were 17? I said, yeah. He says, he leans in, he says, those stocks have done very well for me. Ha 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 ha, and he chuckled. The son of a bitch. Now I have a young child at this point, I'm struggling. I'm glad that worked out for you, geez. 5 years later, same conversation. Remember those stocks? Yeah, I remember the stocks, Dad. Are you gonna give me the stocks? Like, those stocks have had a dynamite year this past year. Ha ha ha, and he chuckled again. Now, I don't mean to make my dad sound out like my dad was actually very generous with me. My dad paid for my college education. It was much cheaper in the early 90s, but still. My dad gave me a couple of good used cars, not the Porsche, a couple of good Hondas though. And my dad even, and I don't want this to sound like a story of privilege, but my dad even gave me a little chunk of money that was a pre-inheritance. And he said, look, as you know, I'm remarried, I have a new family. When I pass, eventually, you're not getting anything. They're getting it all. But I'll give you this little chunk of money right now. And I'm like, that's amazing. Thanks, Dad. That's very generous of him. And it wasn't a ton, but it was enough to make some improvements in the house where my ex-wife lives to this day. My dad eventually, as people do, he died. That was about 10 years ago. I was 46 years old. And when they read the will and they got to the part about the stocks, I'm just kidding. There was no will. As promised, his new family got everything. That's fine. It was his money. Maybe there was a will. Didn't matter to me. But I tell you what, I never had those stocks. But I wonder, what were they? Were they like Apple and Microsoft from the 80s? What are these 40-year-old stocks now? And even though I never had those stocks, I miss those stocks. I miss them. I want them. But let's be honest. I miss being 17 years old and having adventures, and driving around in that shitty car and listening to Rush. And I miss that girl too. But I'll tell you what, folks, what I miss more than anything, and despite the great stock swindle of 1987, what I miss the most is my dad.
All right, Chip Powell, everyone. Chip Powell. Keep it going, yes. All right, fantastic.